Yeah, so good evening. You're all welcome to Achievers Bridge Career Night. And today, being June Career Night, we will be having a discussion on opportunities in developed countries. So, my name is Emma Mbiza, the co-founder of Achievers Bridge, and, which is a personal development company aiming to create an ideal environment for dreamers out there. So, and here with me, I have important, great people. I mean, great people, like great personalities that have sacrificed their time, despite their busy schedules to be here with us. And I'm very sure by the end of this session, we are going to grab a lot of value out of this session. So, I think I am very, very, very excited to have you guys on this session. This means a lot to me, and this is a great honor to have you guys. So, I think, without taking longer time, I will want the guests to just tell us briefly about themselves. I think maybe we go from the top down. Israel Igashi, top of the screen, right? Israel, maybe you can just tell us briefly about yourself, and then we move to Joseph Adewi.
Hello everyone listening. My name is Israel Igashi, and I'm a senior interventional radiographer, and I work in Leicester, United Kingdom. I've been there for a while now.
Oh, great, 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 great. Yeah. So, thank you for coming on this stage. So, over to you, Sir
Thank you
Joseph.
very much.
All right, yeah, thank you everyone. My name is Joseph Adewi. I just finished my PhD from the University of Connecticut, currently doing like a postdoc here in the US.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Down to you, pharmacist Asinamai.
Yeah, hello. Happy to be here. My name is Asina Indai. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Florida. My background is pharmacy, and still doing my PhD in pharmaceutical outcomes and policy.
Wow, wow,
So
wow,
happy
wow.
to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, um, before we go into the main discussion of the day, so to the audience that are joining us and those that will be joining us along the line, if you have any question you'll be having at the course of the session, please feel free to drop us comments so that towards the end of the session, we will have this great men, respond to each of your questions that may be coming up. So, my first question here that we will be talking around is now we have people, hopping out of the country, especially a country like Nigeria, to the developed countries like, US, Germany, London, and then things like that. So, but for what level of education do such opportunities exist, in the developed countries, like for a person in a country like Nigeria? Maybe we go with Asinamai first. Maybe let's see your own view or comment on that. Then we move to Joseph, then Igashi.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, let me take the question apart. So, in terms of, I will start with the level of education. So, overall, I would say for you to be able to, if you are looking to either move to Europe or United States, for you to be able to fit into the system as quickly as possible, you will need a minimum of a bachelor's degree. So you need a minimum of bachelor's degree, and not only a bachelor's degree, you need to be able to have a very good uh, uh, academic achievement when you are in school. So if in terms of CGPA, when you're talking about, then you need to have at least 2.1, so that that will give you a very solid base to be able to quickly stand out as when you move. So that's what I would say in that regard. For the next one, in terms of let me talk about,
Opportunities that exist, yeah.
you said.
Opportunities that exist, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, so in terms of opportunity that exist, to be fair, um, I would say people that are in STEM courses, that is science courses, I would say I think STEM stands for science, uh, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I would say people that are in one of these STEM courses, they have higher chances of being able to fit into a new system or to develop country, either Europe or US, when they move out. The other courses that is outside STEM is not impossible, but it's slightly more challenging. So if you have a STEM background, you just need to consolidate on that. And the good thing is that currently the world has expanded. It's a global village, so we have opportunities in terms of learning. So many on YouTube and other online platforms, so that you can be able to gauge the curriculum that is being taught in Nigerian universities and also other universities outside the world, and you can be able to bring yourself to speed so that you can be able to fit in when you move out as quickly as possible. I will allow the other panelists to speak to that, and if I have something to add, I will add.
Thank you so much, Asinama. I think that was just very brief and then straight to the point. So over to you, Joseph Adewi. Let's see what comment do you have about that question.
So there are a lot of opportunities, but it's mostly post bachelor's, so masters and PhD. But even more for the PhD, they are limited. Well, when I say opportunities, I mean like funding. If you have your own money, then you can do whatever you want to do. But if you're not financially buoyant and you're looking for sponsored opportunities, then you have more of like a PhD and very little for masters, but we still have some for masters. And like I don't know, I hope I pronounced that right.
You can call me
Asinamai
Asas.
said,
Asas.
Asad. Okay, yeah. So as Asad said, right, you would need good qualification, bachelor's, preferably a first class, to be able to get these opportunities. And there are a lot of opportunities, right? There are like scholarship opportunities like Chevening and Co. Some of that, in my own opinion, are very competitive and you have to be a standout candidate to get into those kind of like scholarships. But the one that I would say is relatively easy to get is to actually get teaching assistantship or research assistantship positions from university. It's still competitive, but it's not as competitive as Chevening, for example. So you look for universities that offer courses that you want to do, and then most of the times they come with like teaching assistantship positions accompanied with tuition waiver. So you're not paying tuition, you're working as a teaching assistant, you're getting some stipend. And usually there's allocation. Most schools have like allocation based on regional like geography. So they may be like, okay, this section want to admit 3 people from Africa, for example. And so you have more chance that way than Chevening that is looking to apply 5 people from all over the world, for example, just as an example. So it's more um, I would say it's easier to look for universities that are offering teaching assistantship positions and apply to such.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe if someone is kind of thinking, okay, what kind of opportunity I can be hunting out for, I think this is a very wide insight for someone to, pick out from. So let's see what Rad Israel Igashi has to say about that. And sorry, before you go on, one of the things I love about these comments is they are just straight to the point and then as brief as possible. Like, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So just like Asina Mai and Adewi has said, so basically the minimum requirements that would probably put you in a better place to like get opportunities in terms of like schooling is usually your bachelor's degree basically. So if you have a bachelor's degree, then maybe subsequently masters or PhD, it makes it easier for you to like get into the academic system in developed countries. In the UK where I'm based, usually if you have like a very very good master's or bachelor's degree, you sort of like have these opportunities to like apply to schools, and then when you apply to schools, there are like various universities in the UK where when you apply, aside the application, you have the opportunity to also apply to like school scholarships as well. So it's a bit different because I think the part where Asina Mai and Adewi touch is where you have to like have like a very very good CGPA in terms of your grades back in school. And then we talked about getting like a first class, getting like a very strong 2-1 and stuff. Then you can now apply for some of these very very competitive scholarships that they talked about, traveling, Chevron and stuff. But however, in the UK, for those who probably wouldn't, had the opportunity to like have graduated with like very good grades, like first class or very very strong 2-1s, you could still apply with your 2-1, or some universities 2-2. You could still apply to those universities, and then when you apply, you can now apply to like the school scholarship sort of, where they give a bit of like discounts on the tuition. So you could apply to like some schools offer like a 40% discount, 60% discount, depending on the schools. So it's not like over for you if you didn't get like a first class or a very very strong 2-1 as well. So the opportunities are also there for those who like have like either a 2-2 or a 2-1 that is not very very strong sort of. So even if you're not looking towards getting through getting in through the scholarship route, which can be a very very competitive, you can also still get in through subsidized rates in terms of funding for schools, like through scholarships offered by various universities. That's particularly in the UK now, where I'm based.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that has been fair enough. Like I try to imagine myself as a layman, and then that was so grounded to a level that you can easily understand all the submissions. Now, this takes us to the next part of the questions that I have here. So, what general requirements a must have that one will need to have before standing a chance of being able to cross over to developed countries? Like, you may want to expand more on that, depending on specific scenarios that you may want to speak about. And just to make more clarity on the question, there are situations when one gets an opportunity maybe for a job. Now, not just only looking at the scholarship aspect, but getting a job, down there, and then moving for other opportunities. You will see that, okay, this person didn't have these documents, let's say a declaration of age or something like that. But is there any general requirements, a must have, like that one will need to have before, getting an opportunity into those areas around the globe? So I think this time around, let's go with Joseph.
Okay, so I don't know the job route. I came in to the US through the education route, so I'm going to say regarding the education route. Like I said earlier, basic requirement is a first class if possible or a strong 2-1. But beyond that, one thing I've noticed is I've also been in systems where I've been able to see admission decisions and what's influencing admission decisions, because my advisor was part of the admission committee and I had some insider information, right? A lot of people have first class, a lot of people have strong 2-1s. And so they're beginning to see what would differentiate you. And this is something we don't take into consideration, especially in Nigeria. We focus just on the good grades, which is good, but also you should begin to like have publications if you can have research publications in your undergrad. That would be nice. But also very important, which may seem trivial, is also like volunteering, right? They want to see, are you community minded? Some of those things would add. If you have two people with first class, what can be a difference that would grant one, yeah, opportunity over the other, could be as simple as volunteering, could be as simple as what other hobbies do they do outside. Because like when you do things like volunteering, it begins to show you have the ability to work in a team. It shows your leadership abilities, and all of those things are, because if you're doing a PhD, for example, you're going to need to work in a team. You're going to need to mentor undergraduate students, right? So those soft skills outside of your education also counts as an advantage, right? And I know I'm hammering on first class and second class, but I actually know an example of someone who graduated with the third class and got into MIT, and MIT is one of the biggest schools in the US, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, got into MIT on a fully funded scholarship on a third class. And what was the distinguishing factor that gave that person advantage even over the first class people was the fact that in his undergraduate, he did a very wonderful research and got a good paper publication, right? And so you may not see that as something, you may just focus on the first class or the good grade, which is good. But I'm just saying that that's like the minimal, and everybody gets that. So you need to find something that would make you stand out. Yeah, your education will make you stand out, of course. But like beyond that, if you have 10 people in the first class, they have to make a decision. And so, what would differentiate you from others are now those soft skills, those additional advantages. So, people should focus on volunteering, doing research, your leadership positions, highlight them in your personal statement, right? You led a group of people to achieve a project, a community development project. You may think it doesn't count, but it's going to count. in the end to make a decision. At least for the admissions committee, it makes their work easier because they're like, okay, a lot of people have good grades, but we need more than good grades, right? Sometimes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, you focused majorly on the academic route. Maybe Israel Igashi will want to focus on the other end, and then maybe have a comment on the question also.
Right. Basically for me, I came in through the job route. Um, and as someone who is in, like, in the health in a healthcare profession, sort of, I know, like, I have like a bit of information about migrating to, especially, the UK. If you're from, you have like a health background, I sort of like have experiences with people who didn't come in, like, from predominantly health majors or backgrounds and stuff. But however, in the background where I like relocated to the UK through, which is like through the healthcare profession now, I think usually, depending on your profession or depending on your specialty, the first thing you need to do is, if, let's say, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, dentist, radiographer, or whatever, the first thing you need to do is you need to, like, find out what body, just like how we have in Nigeria. Yeah, in Nigeria there are different bodies, different councils, that are responsible for the practice, the control of practice of whatever specialty it is that you are currently in Nigeria. Same also in the UK as well. So there are like different bodies, different councils that govern the activities of these specialties in the UK. So the first thing that you need to do is, if you are in either a healthcare profession now, is to find out what governing council or body in the United Kingdom governs the activity or practice of your profession in the UK. So that's the first thing that you need to do. So when you find out what body, or council, governs the activities of, your practice or specialty in the UK, then subsequently, then you can now, make inquiries through how do you get licensed? How do you get, eligibility to practice in this country or in the UK, predominantly, because that's where I'm based. So I have like sort of like, my information is going to dwell, predominantly within the UK. So at as a radiographer, basically, or we have like a governing body, which is the health and care professions. I think for the doctors, they have the GMC, and then dentists, they have their a governing council as well, GDC. So there are different governing councils, that regulate the practice of these healthcare professions in the UK. So when you find out, the governing body, then you find out, the routes through which you can get licensed. So after getting licensing to practice in this country, sometimes there are a series of exams that you need to do. Other professions don't really require exams; they just require you to send in your documents, your degree certificate, work experience here in Nigeria, your clinical experience, and all of that. You send it to them, and then you get licensed. So why I'm dwelling in the healthcare sector, sort of, is because it's easier, sort of, to actually get into the job route in the UK. So when you get licensed, then you can now, start applying for jobs, basically. Like, it's as simple as that. You get licensed to practice in the UK, you have a registration number or whatever with your governing body, then you can now just start applying for jobs directly from here in Nigeria. So as an example, I got licensed, and then I started applying for jobs while here in Nigeria, and then I got shortlisted for an interview. I did the interview, I was successful, and then I got the job offer, and then I got recommendations. I got my visa and stuff, and then I relocated. So if you're in the healthcare profession, it's a bit straightforward because you only just need to get licensing, and then subsequently apply for jobs, and then you get a job, then you can now migrate. However, it can be a bit capital intensive because this, registration with these bodies require funds. It requires, money and stuff. So my advice for those in, in the healthcare profession or whatever is, during your practice, either your internship, house job, or whatever that you're doing here in Nigeria, you should try and save as much money as you can. And as things are currently in the minute, at the minute, the exchange rate is quite terrible. So you may, have to even save more than people who have like had saved 4 or 5 years ago and stuff. So when you are able to save this amount of money, it helps your relocation process a lot because the license in itself requires a lot of funds. So that's for those in the healthcare profession now. So basically, you need to find out your governing body. Then you find out, you get licensed, and then subsequently start applying for jobs. You get a job, then you migrate to the UK. Now, for those who are not necessarily in the healthcare profession, it's not the end of the road for you. However, what you can do, or what I've seen most people do, is they come in through either the master's or PhD route. So they try and secure admissions to a university here in the UK, and then after securing admission into the UK, they you do either for a master's or a PhD, depending on whichever one. After their masters, then you have an opportunity to apply for like a visa that helps you stay in the UK for like a year or two after your graduation. So that visa allows you enough time to be able to apply for jobs while still in the UK. So you could now apply for jobs, and then if you get a job, sometimes this job comes with sponsorships, and then your visa will be converted from either from a student visa originally to a work visa. So you will now be like eligible to actually work, and get paid in the United Kingdom legally. So these are like the two major routes, either through jobs, which like I've emphasized earlier on. The healthcare route is like a lot more straightforward. And then for other professions, engineering, IT, arts, or whatever, coming in through the masters and PhD route is a bit, easier sort of than getting a job directly from Nigeria. Because in the UK, for you to be able to get a job in the UK, the employing body has to prove to the Home Office, which are responsible for issuing out visa and all. They need to prove to the Home Office that this job they are employing you for, you were the only candidate they could find. They had searched the whole of the UK, they couldn't find, and that's why they are employing outside the UK. So for healthcare practitioners, it's very easy, and the reason is simply because most healthcare professions is in the shortage occupation list in the UK. So it's very easy to just get a job and you get your visa and come over. But however, outside these healthcare professions, it can be a bit trickier. So because basically the employing body has to prove that this job they are employing you for, you were the most suitable candidate. They've searched the whole of the UK, they couldn't find a candidate, and then that's why you were being employed. So it's easier. It's very difficult to prove that. So it's easier for you to now come in either through the master or the PhD route as a non-healthcare professional, basically.
Wow, wow. Do you know one of the greatest part of these responses is that each of the response that is coming from each of the great guys we're having here on stage are coming in different perspectives, and then is giving a wider view of the information that one will need. So I think I love this. So let's see what pharmacist Asinama will have to make on that. Do I come on with the question again, or
No,
you
it's
still
fine.
can grab
It's
that?
fine. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
I follow the conversation. I will just
okay,
try to speak a little bit different from what Joseph and Israel
sure, sure,
already
sure.
said. Yeah, so Israel kind of alluded to that earlier on. Yeah, if you want to migrate either through education or through job, the truth is that it is capital intensive. You need lots of money, and every year it's become extremely difficult. Except if you have rich parents that have saved so much money for you, and the rest. If you are someone like me that you have to hustle your way out of it, it's extremely difficult. And I have a health background. I'm a pharmacist by training, so that makes it a little bit easier. But I can imagine someone that maybe an engineer, some people that do not have an opportunity to kind of get maybe internship experience or maybe get a job that kind of pays them right away. It's extremely difficult, and it's not that you're not talented. It's just unfortunately the system is just so difficult to break through. So, with that being said, I would say for the United States, it's a system that is output oriented in the sense that you it's good to have good credentials like maybe first class or but if you can be able to show just as of Israel Joseph said, if you can be able to show what even if you don't have like first class, you can be able to show through your output. If you can be able to show publication, if you can be able to show a website you've built, if you can be able to show even blog posts, your thoughts and what and your ideas, just write it down and publish it. If you can be able to show these things, then you are going to have an edge. you're going to have an edge. So that is what I will say for people that want to leave. And if you're not in the health backgrounds or other areas, you need to work on your skills constantly. I know how difficult these things are, but I will still encourage people, make sure you always sharpen your blade. You are always sharp in terms of your skills, and use whatever platform you have to use online and everything. Learn what people are doing, try to implement it, try to show what you can do. Okay. With that
Thank
being
you.
said, with
Yeah,
that
go on, go on.
another thing also, if you want to go through that educational route, I would say you need to get your transcript evaluated. I think I use Wes. Um, you need to get it evaluated. That is going to be a huge help for you. So once you get your transcript evaluated, it's very easy to start communicating to schools of what you need. Because once you don't have your transcript evaluated, it's very challenging. Our universities frustrate us, and also some universities will not accept transcript that you send to them, and just having that evaluation done, you can just from there you can just send it to any university that you're applying to or anybody that you want to work with. I think it's a huge help. That's in addition, of course, you need to have a passport ready. Um, you need to have your passport current and updated ready, and just keep trying. It's a very frustrating process, to be fair, but you have to keep trying, and then keep talking with people, keep seeking for information. As you want, if you want to move, every piece of information is very important. So whoever you meet, try to channel the conversation in a way that you're going to get his experience, and what he has done well and what he has fell short of, and build on that your experience, because every piece of information is equally important. So learn the art of seeking information. It doesn't matter. Knock on everyone's door. If you feel that person has something that you need, just knock on his door and ask him and get whatever you want to get. Sometimes they will, if you ask someone, someone will speak to you. Sometimes someone will not speak to you. That's fine. Don't give up. Go to the next person.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was very exhaustive. That was very exhaustive. I will be having a follow-on question on that, maybe towards the middle of the session, or maybe towards the end of the session. But then we proceed to the next question. I think the next question have already been answered. The second question to that also is answered by the submissions that you guys made. So I think we just head straight to the next one. Yeah. So what challenges did you experience or another person may possibly experience through his or her journey of hunting for opportunities in the developed countries? Yeah, so from the responses that I've been getting so far, it was more of experience, like something that, yes, this is what is happening, this is what we passed through, this is what we did. It was more of like the reality. So now maybe we can tailor this down to a specific challenge that we knew someone passed through, or maybe we passed through in person, and then that will also give more light to a person that is aspiring, to go to any of the developed countries out there. Maybe this time around we start with Israel. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question. So basically, the fact that we're coming from a third world country, it's already a challenge already on its own. So there are usually like a lot of factors, that could pose as potential, challenges for someone who, either trained or schooled in a country, in a third world country, basically, and is trying to, to migrate to a first world country, Europe, and the US. So basically, for me personally, I think the major challenge that I faced, even given my background as well as a healthcare practitioner, was the availability of funds. Yeah, the availability of funds, which is basically capital to help you relocate. Because like I said earlier, you need a lot of funds to be able to pay for your licenses, your registration fees, get licensed, and all of that. And then then there are also some job opportunities that don't come with like full on sponsorship in terms of flight tickets, visa payments, you know um hotel or accommodations and stuff. Some of them don't come with all of these packages, so you may need to sort yourself out in terms of paying for your visa, paying for your flight, paying for your accommodation, when you get there, especially for the first, few months and all. So it can be a bit daunting. It can be a bit challenging for, someone who doesn't, have, either a wealthy background or have, these funds reserved already for this purpose. It can be a bit challenging. For me, so this was like a challenge sort of, even though I had, people who came through for me and I was able to raise up funds to cover some of these bills and the whole process became smooth for me. But then the major challenge was, funding. And then secondly, another challenge you may also face is the fact that the competition is becoming very, very stiff now. It's becoming, very, very stiff. This is also due to the fact that a lot of people are seeking greener pastures. A lot of people want to migrate to these countries, for greener pastures. People are going to the US, going to Europe, UK, and all of that in terms seeking for jobs, seeking for, higher academic qualifications and subsequently better opportunities and all. So it has become a bit, very, very competitive. So just like I explained earlier and said, you need to get license, your licensing to be able to practice in this country. It is not, that straightforward as it seems, basically. So I'm not just saying, oh, once you get your licensing, you can just apply for a job, get a job, and then relocate to the UK like that. So you have to go through a process of, applying for job. I know someone who applied for more than 600 jobs, basically like more than 600, some more than 700 jobs before they get even like two or three interviews. So someone can have like as much as 800 applications for job and then get like two interviews, and then you go for those two interviews and then you still fail them. So it's a bit competitive, and this is because there are a lot of people seeking these opportunities. You as just as you want to migrate as well, you have people from other third world countries that are also trying to migrate as well, aside from even your home country, basically. So a lot of people are trying to migrate. So it's just like you have like a lot of people seeking for one position, sort of. So just like Asina Mai and Adewi has said earlier on, you need to stand out basically, either in terms of your applications into these jobs and even during the interviews as well. So you need to make sure there is something about you that is unique. There is something about you that is special that makes you, different from the lot. So there are lots of challenges. So aside from capital or finances, the second, major challenges in terms of, getting jobs or relocating through job is, the difficulties you may face when applying for these jobs and then subsequently interviews as well. But basically, these are like the two major challenges: finances and then, the application processes for jobs.
Thank you for that submissions. Very, very, very straight to the point. I really love that. Yeah. So, let's move down to Joseph. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to admit to what Israel has said. Like a common challenge I would say would be finances, not just finance in terms of even before you even get to like flight, right? Some of these applications you need to pay application fee, and you're paying an application fee of $50, for example, per application. That's like 80,000 naira equivalent, and say you're applying to say 10 schools, for example, because you want to expand your chances of getting into one, you're talking about 800,000 just for application, right? So it's quite tedious in terms, or quite tedious and challenging financially. So I would agree to that, but sometimes you may get waiver, sometimes you may get sponsorship, or there's just that financial challenge. I would say for me personally, the other challenge, well, I won't call it challenge. I would say maybe a mistake I made, which kind of like delayed my journey, was putting all my eggs in one basket. So for like 2, 3 consecutive years, I was applying only to the UK, and I kept getting admission, of course, but like you hardly find like 100% scholarship. So I was getting 50% scholarship, 30% scholarship, and if I get a 50% scholarship, that's good. But the remaining 50% is still running into like 5, 6, 10 million naira, which I couldn't raise. And then someone was like, "Okay, try the US." And then I tried the US and was able to get a fully funded scholarship. Now, the point here is don't just limit your applications to one basket, and even don't just limit it to the US and the UK. I know I gave this example to US and UK, but there are other countries also that offer good opportunities, right? So just spread your tentacles, spread your net. That being said, also in the name of wanting to immigrate, don't go to a useless school. Don't go to just one school in some random country which doesn't offer quality education, right? as much as you want to spread your tentacles, make sure that, because like there are some school, I mean, there are a lot of schools out there that their education is not even up to the Nigerian education. I mean, quality of Nigerian education. So you see people like in the name of wanting to leave, going to one school. I mean, no shade to this country, but going to say one school in South Sudan that's like doesn't offer anything academically, right? So spread your tentacles, apply to like different schools, but also make sure it's a worthwhile. You would gain a worthwhile experience at the end of it all, and it's not just because you want to leave the country. Um, yeah, I think I'm bringing it personally. Just were the two challenges for me: the fact that there was financial difficulty paying all these application fees and all those things, as well as I was initially putting all my eggs in one basket. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's another additional challenge that one can add to his own list. Yeah. So let's see what Asiname will have to say about that question.
Yeah,
Over to you, sir.
I don't have much to say. I think these are the major challenges. But one thing from speaking from someone that from Borno State and lived all my life in Borno State, I would say when you want to leave the country, there's an information asymmetry between people in the southern part of Nigeria and the northern part of Nigeria. That is a huge, huge, huge challenge. There's literally nobody when I was struggling my way to leave Nigeria to the United States. There was virtually nobody that has any information. If I ask someone what is GRE, many people don't even know what GRE is. So I would say for if you live in the northern part of Nigeria, one of your biggest challenge is information that you will face, in addition to funding and other challenges, but you will struggle to get information. And if you want to migrate, information is as equally as important as money because you can spend thousands of dollars on what you can get for free. So just because you don't have the information. So it's very important to learn the skill of asking people for information. I will keep on emphasizing that. So that was one of the huge, huge challenge. Information, it's very important. So the challenge for me when I was trying to leave was there was no information. That I don't have anyone that I'm going to go into and can provide me with the refined and experienced information on how to maneuver my way across the landscape. So I won't take much time. I think these are some of the huge challenges we've kind of hit on those main points.
Thank you very, very much. I think we are just hitting the nail on point. Like this is going on very, very, very great, even more than what I expected. Like I'm picking a lot of things in person. So not to talk of the audience that are following, and then I just eager and say, "Wow, let me come and hear out what these great guys are gonna say." Thank you so much, guys. So now this takes us to the next part of the question. Is there any platform you will recommend for people where they can have updates about opportunities in the developed countries? Let's say maybe there are websites that or maybe platforms that you feel anybody that is aspiring to move out, to the developed country may be able to take advantage of. Maybe this time around we go with Asinamai. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know much. Maybe Israel and Joseph know more about platforms. I would say one thing: if you want to come to the United States, and if you want to come through the educational route, so I left Nigeria through the educational route, so that's most of my experiences. I would say is you need to come up with a list of universities that you intend to apply to, or that are going to be a very good destination for you in the States, and keep very close tab on those websites, because any information, if you want to move abroad, the information is going to be on these websites. So if you want to go to the US, yes, the website of this, you have to spend so much time surfing the website, looking at the faculty profile, looking at any updates of funding or students and the rest. So these are like a huge resource. The information is in the website. I know many people are very lazy in terms of going to website and dig out for information, but any information that you need is on the school website. And the good thing is that especially in the US, my experience is that if you look at any website, they will have always a contact, an email of someone that if you need more information, they always respond. Just try to copy the email and send it quick. If you need more information, you can just introduce yourself. This is what I intend to do. Can you shed more light on this? Or do you have 30 minutes for us to chat so that I can get more insight? They are always excited to kind of talk to you to more about those things. So information is I would say platform that you need if you want to go through the educational route. Yes, the school's website is your best place to go. Come up with a list of schools, and if you don't know most list of schools, ask people that live in the states or are in school there to help you put in more list of schools, because there are so many schools in the states I don't even know them. So but if you the more list you have of schools and their website, spend a couple of hours in a day, just go to their website, you will see information coming up. They will tell you admission cycle, what they have coming up, and the rest. So that's what I would say. I will leave Joseph and Israel to add more to that.
Wow, that was a very, very great one. I think you have already given a roadmap on where one can go and even find out the website itself, not just giving the website, like showing someone how to even get the website. That's a great one. So I think we will move from the United States to the UK first. So let us find out what Israel will have to say. Then we come back to Joseph to tell us more about United States. Yeah.
Right. So just like Asina Mai has had said earlier on, most of these informations are on the websites. If you're going through the school route now, most of this information is in the school websites usually. So these countries are advanced, so things are a bit straightforward. Any information you're seeking for, you're going to find it definitely on the school website. So now for those who intend to come in through work route, I'm really sorry that I have to dwell more on my healthcare profession. Just because most of my experience is usually tilted around healthcare. However, for those that are not within the healthcare sector, um, first and foremost, I would suggest that you should try and get active on LinkedIn as well. So if you can try and get very active on LinkedIn, try and follow or connect with people who share similar profession or similar activities as you. Sometimes they may help point you in the right direction as well. So then back to the healthcare now. All of these bodies that I told you, I've said earlier, regulate the practice of these healthcare professions. They have their websites. Those for doctors, they have the GMC. Those in radiography, physiotherapy, biomedical science, and all of that, they have their own governing body, which is the Health and Care Professions Council. They have their website as well. So once you're able to get into this website, you will find out all the information you need to actually get licensed or to actually start practicing in the UK. So all these informations are literally there on each of these websites as well. So hopefully Adewi can add more to what I've just said.
Yeah, I think that was another addition. Like I was like, wow, so that site can be something that one can be able to go and get, a whole lot of information. Yeah, so over to you, sir Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, they said it all, right? It's just like a lot of people are lazy. You want just one particular place. By the way, you may hear thunder. It's current rain where I'm staying. It's raining. So, um, back to the question. So it's just a lot of people want like a fast route, just like one fits all, which is not always the case. I can tell you this is a particular website where you get all the information. But like the two other speakers have said, if you're applying to schools, go to the website and you will get all the information you need there. Be active on LinkedIn. Be active on those professional social media sites where they discuss professional and job and education uh, discussions, and you will get all the information. I don't have any particular website for them. They said it
Thank
all.
Thank you so much. I love that. Like, I love that. I will keep saying this. One of the things that excites me about this session is straight to the point, but loaded with a lot of stuffs that if one just pay attention to it, then will be very, very helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for that. So this takes us to the next question. Yeah. So what will be your general comment if you have to, when looking at life out there and then life in a country like Nigeria, like looking at it from all arounds, like not just looking at the exit path, not just looking at the maybe the qualifications and the requirement, like generally on a general perspective. What comment can you make on that? Like looking at life out there and then life in Nigeria. Like this time around, let's go with Joseph first.
Okay. So yeah, that's a very interesting question. I must first say, like, sometimes we have this wrong mindset thinking it's all rosy and easy. You just need to leave Nigeria and then your life would flip from night to morning. That's not always the case, right? It can be very, very difficult. There are a lot of challenges that comes with moving around. Let me start with the education, right? A lot of people want to leave Nigeria for education, but education here, especially for postgraduate, is very tall. If you're doing a PhD is very hectic. I was telling someone what I did in 2 years of my PhD was enough for me to get a PhD in Nigeria. But I did that for 5 years before I eventually got my PhD last month. So it's very thorough. It needs a lot of your time, a lot of your motivation. And if you're not motivated to do research, if you're just living and saying, I just want to jackpot, and you don't really have the mindset to like really study and do research for those coming through the education route, you're going to be frustrated. You would really be frustrated and it will be hell on earth for you, more or less. So I just want people to have that mindset. If you're coming through the education route and you're coming on a postgraduate level, like post bachelor state, you need to know that you're actually coming here to work. You need to also know that it's not all rosy. While you're on the F1 visa as a student, you are not allowed to work. So you also need to have that in mind that if you get like a teaching assistantship, you have to limit your your spending and your lifestyle to what you're getting based on your teaching assistantship. Right. I just need to make that balance because people just feel like, oh, when I just switched from Nigeria to the US, my life has changed forever. It's difficult, yeah, also. There are a lot of um, things that we get over with in Nigeria that you don't get over with here. So you need to be like, if you're asked to teach, you have to come to class to teach. You can't be like the Nigerian, I mean, respectfully, like you in Nigeria, you may decide not to go to class and you still get paid. Yeah, if you decide not to go to class, you're going to be fired more or less. So you just need to have that balanced mindset that when you come here, you're actually coming here to work. Eventually, things will get better. You would graduate, you get a good job. But while you're within that educational transition moment before you maybe get a good job afterwards, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of research, a lot of dedication. And yeah, just wanted to say that.
That's a very, very, very great information you just shared in there. So let's go to Asinamai. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, looking back seriously, it's been a roller coaster for me. I would say. I was back home in Nigeria. I was working. I was at least on average. I was very comfortable, but still, I wanted to kind of explore and reach my full potential. So, um, comparing life as it was back home and also how life is here currently, I would say one thing you need, which I have even when I was in Nigeria, then is you have to be very the life here is very structured and require a lot of discipline. That's what I would say. It's a very structured lifestyle here. Everything is well planned. In Nigeria, you just wake up and you just take the day as the day comes by. But here, you have to like plan out your day. Like already is already all planned out. And if you are someone like us that we still have families back home, relations back home to manage, so many things happening also back home. Another thing is that mental resilience to be able to function here, because here you have to be 101% present. And and then you have information coming from home. I just heard about this bomb blast in Goza and the results where I live most of my life. All those things affects your mental state. So it's not also like just coming here. You need to have that mental strength to be able to, because here literally nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. That's just it. So you can be mourning your loved one, and the rest. You have to show up to work, and you have to deliver. You have to take meetings. You have to make presentations. You have to all those things. You just have to come. It's not like Nigeria that you say, "Oh, I lost someone. I will stay at home." And no, you always have to be present. So that's one thing I will tell people. If as you plan, if you want to transition, these are some of the difficulties or life-changing experiences that you will likely encounter. And yeah, in terms of, I was working, as I've said, I was comfortable. I came down here. I have to be an F1 student. I have to live on a very tight budget, which I wasn't used to it when I was in Nigeria. So all those things, it was a little bit challenging for me. So especially people that are here and listening, that they want to migrate. Yeah, you will be comfortable in Nigeria. You will have one mechanic looking over your car. You will have people sweeping your house. You take your clothes to the laundry. All those good things. If you move here, you have to do all these things by yourself. You have to live on a very tight budget. You have to also deliver all the time, despite or irrespective of what's happening in your life. So these are some of those things, and these are, I think, some of the experiences that I've faced. Regrets, no regrets. I think I have learned so much more since coming over here, but yeah, also there are some trade-offs that you have to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we are doing very good with time. This is just 9 minutes to our 60-minute session, and then we just have one question to go, and then a follow-on question. So, before we go to the last question, before the follow-on question, Israel, I would want you to comment on the last question that I just read out here.
Yeah, I'm just going to be very brief, just for our time. So just like my friends Adewi and Asinamai had said, um, the developed countries are very well structured, basically. So everything moves according to plan. Things don't change for you, basically. So you have to do things whether or not you want to do them and all. However, one thing I also want us to understand is, it's at the end of the day, and before I say this, one thing you should also understand is these developed countries, Europe, US, and all, they are not as family oriented as Nigeria is. So we should learn to understand that they are not very family oriented. In Nigeria, you know who your neighbors are. You have a lot of friends. You have a lot of, you get. Here, it's a bit different because your work colleagues are your work colleagues, your colleagues here are your colleagues here. So the the word friends don't just fly, around like anyhow like that. And it's not as family oriented as it is in Nigeria, where your neighbors are your friends. You guys, relate together freely and all. So you can literally just be on your own. I can tell you for a fact that I've lived in my flat for like 2 years now. I don't know who my next door neighbor is. Like, I know his work schedules, but I've never seen him. I don't even know if it's a woman or a man that lives in the next door, because our timings are different, sort of. So I've never even met him, which is very, very difficult in countries like Nigeria, where you know your neighbors, people around you and all of that. So it can be a bit challenging in terms of the social activities here, because it's not family oriented. And then secondly, one thing I want us to also understand is, um, in aside from all of these downsides that we've just emphasized on, you should understand that if you are able to successfully migrate to either Europe or the US, or whichever country in search for greener pastures, especially Europe and the US, one thing you should understand is, there is always going to be a shift in terms of your status, basically your financial status or whatever. There is going to be, I'm not going to deny that your standard of living is going to improve. Those who you've got back home or whatever, that depending on you, to their standards will most likely improve, because you are in a better place, you're earning better off than what you were earning in Nigeria or whatever. So at the end of the day, one thing I should also make you understand is, it's worth the effort. It's worth the effort if you have the opportunity to do it, and if you're highly ambitious and you feel like you want to get into these developed countries, either to practice or to school. Please try and get in. You won't regret it. I promise you, you won't regret it. There are, the benefits outweigh the downsides. I'm telling you, the benefits outweigh the downside. So just try as much as possible to do what you need to do if you feel like this is the way forward for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will keep saying it. One of the things I love with this crew is the fact that we balance everything. This person speaks about this perspective, another person picks up the other perspective, and then the last person just close it down. Wow. That was a very great one. So we move to the last question before I come up with the follow-on question. Obviously, from the comment section, we don't have a question, but just them making some comments like, "Wow, you guys are right on point." So you will see some people are making some kind of comments like that. So I think it is just going to be a one follow-on question after the last question. So the last question goes this way. We just have, oh my goodness, we just have 4 minutes, but let's see, approximately 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes. So let's see how we can just close this down before the time up. So, is there any other information you will want to add? That you feel people need to know about securing opportunities in the developed country. Perhaps I might have missed out on an important area that you feel you need to update the audience about. I think maybe you can just pick up one minute to just reflect on that. If there's any other additional comment that I might have missed out. Yeah. So let's start this time around with Israel. Yeah.
Sorry, my mic was muted. So just like the general comment I've just made, one thing, I want to also thank you also for creating this avenue or this platform to try and enlighten people who are trying to seek opportunities in developed or advanced countries, either for greener pastures or for whatever. This is actually a very educative platform, and I appreciate you for actually you know setting this up and making it come true for people to be able to come and watch and benefit from it. And for those who are listening or for those who are watching, 2 years back I was also in Nigeria as well, trying to find my feet, trying to see how I can set myself up financially, academically, or what have you. And now where I am. So the bottom line is you would not regret it if you have the means, if you have the resilience. Just try and work towards achieving this migration if you can, and if this is what you want to do. Don't look back. Don't people. There will be people who will discourage you. There will be people who tell you, "Oh no, people have been applying for these jobs." Like I said there was when I said earlier. I know people who are applied for like 700 jobs. Imagine applying, making application 700 times and getting rejections. In fact, there was a when I was applying for my own jobs, there was a period where if I don't get a rejection email in a day, I feel like that day didn't go well because I need to see that rejection email to know that yes, they're actually seeing my applications and all of that. So there is just keep trying until you hit the nail on the head. So just keep trying. There is no regrets about it. There is no regret. So just keep trying, and hopefully, God blesses all our efforts and crown our efforts with successes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Israel. That was straight to the point. Yeah. Thank you. So let's go to Joseph this time around. So you can maybe make a reflection if you have any for the next 1 minute on that. Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to add to all that I've said is for those coming through the educational route, make sure your references are writing good reference letters, right? That also like counts a lot. Like a case that just happened. So there was a student I recommended back in Nigeria. He got into my school. Again, I had some kind of like internal connection. And then the next year I recommended another student, and that student didn't get in. And what was the disqualifying factor, because again, someone in the admissions committee told me, was that the person who wrote their reference letter wrote just a 7 line reference letter, and just that just goes to show that they don't know the person. So if you're having your lecturer write your reference letter, make sure they write substantial information that shows that they know you. And it's beyond just the student is hardworking, I've known the student for donkey years. That doesn't count. Maybe even if possible, you write the reference letter and give it to them and then they edit it, right? Just make sure they are giving qualitative information that shows that they know you, because and that also shows your capability, right? Because there are things these admission officers are looking for beyond your transcript. The transcript doesn't say anything more than A's and B's, for example. But your reference letter tells like other qualities that you may have, which are not highlighted in the transcript, right? So make sure you're writing your references are writing qualitative letters that would make you stand out and not just 7 line. It's sometimes I know they don't know, and that's also the fact that someone is a lecturer doesn't mean they know. Right? Sometimes they don't know how to write reference letter, so you may have to do the work, write your reference letter, and give it to them. They then edit it and make sure that you're highlighting all that you want to highlight. That would make you stand out. That's the only thing I was going to add.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we just have literally less than a minute, but then is worth it. Like there's always, in research, there's always a plus or minus. Yeah. So let's see what Asina Maya has to add on that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I see some of the audience sending shout out to me. Yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. I miss you all. So quickly, I think Israel and Joseph have said most. One thing I will add is that, especially if you want to come through the educational route, and if you are, I think either science or liberal arts, whatever it is, love data. Just love data. If you want to come to school, just like data, know how to use data, know how to take data and interpret it and bring out, communicate what the data is saying. If you know how to use Excel, is good. Become more proficient in Excel. If you know how to program, either using R or SAS or Python, learn those skills. There are tons of videos online that they do those kind of stuff. Learn, have those skills at the back of your in your toolbox. Believe you me, if you come to applying to school, what even if you're going to liberal arts or social science or science, it's always an advantage if you go to school, because most of people that you are going to compete with, they are very proficient in this system. These things I didn't know until when I came in here, then I started to learn them, but it makes a huge difference.
Wow, wow, wow. That was a very, very, very great one. So, before I give my last or closing remark for the day, please, the guest here, so maybe we can have a catch up, just a catch up minute after the session. So please, you don't need to leave the studio. Yeah, we can just have a brief discussion with each other in the studio. So for the audience that have been following this session, I really, really, really want to say thank you for being on this session. And I also want to give my big thank you to my guests, because these are high profile personalities that are very busy individuals. Like, they find it very difficult to create time, especially for other extra activities. But then here they are giving us, dishing out important information. So thank you so much, guys, for all that. So this was June Career Night. So Career Night, Achievers Beach Career Night holds every last Sunday of the month. So see you guys in July Career Night. And then you can also check in every Saturday for contents that will help you, to achieve your dreams in life. So thank you so much, guys. So this brings us to the end of the live session. So for the guests, so we can just stay back in the studio.